5 or 10 minutes with people as they file in. Not opposed to doing that a little bit here and there.
Let's get it shared. All right.
Sweet. 61, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Figured out how to retitle it. So, W. Winning. Makes me winning.
You're just a big W machine.
Sometimes. Not all the time. Cool. All right.
Hit the fucking jingle. Let's get it, baby.
Hit the jingle. Jingle bingle.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 61 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007tv. I'm joined, as always, by SuboneKD. What's up, dude?
Not much. Been testing settings, I think I found 37 settings that were changed when I booted up yesterday.
Yeah, it was funny because, we were talking about that on my way home from the airport because, I was in Denver this week for a conference. So I didn't get to do like any of my update or really anything. My wife tried to for me and got an error. But, we were talking about that. And, I'd been keeping up with what's going on Twitter, as far as settings goes and things like that. And like I noticed that there were several that they were like, yeah, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Your FOV is down to 90 again,
Yeah, that was fun.
These kind of things. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah. No, it was bad. And last night one of my IRLs logged on, after work, right? And so we plan to play a little bit, and he goes, I'm like, make sure you check your settings. And I made him a list of settings to check. And it took 40 minutes for him just to reconfigure the settings. Which, look, I get that you're changing stuff. And it's like, for some people, it's a new game. But for most people, it's not. And when you're carrying when we're used to settings carrying over game to game to game to game, right? Like, to have to reset it like this, that's not a good start.
Well, in fairness, they were bringing a complete new movement, which brings new settings over. So I can see where we would have to go into Warzone and change those if they're going to keep those like separate, right? But
look at you taking my role.
You should be. Well, listen. And the other thing, too, I want to point out, we're actually doing this earlier than usual because Sub One was gracious enough to accommodate me. I'm actually off work today. I took off. I had a day I had to burn or I was going to lose it. So I took off today.
Use it to lose it.
So we're out here doing what we do. And but no, what's weird is, so like last night, once I finally got my update going, which, dude, I gotta be honest, if the next couple updates are like this, I might actually consider saying fuck it and buying the game outright from Battle.net, because I'm just tired of the issues with the Xbox Game Pass launcher, and getting it to update.
Really?
Like, sitting at 0% for like 15 minutes is unacceptable to me. I
Xbox
have 1,000
does
over 1,000. Like, I don't understand.
They do throttle it pretty bad. I get the same thing on the Xbox itself. It's bad. It'll just, I'll have plenty of bandwidth and it'll just sit there and be like, doo, 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 doo.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah, I hear you.
I went in on purpose to check all my settings. I did multiplayer first. Those were fine. Those didn't change. And then I went into Warzone and I checked, and I could have swore things were right. And then I closed out. And then when I went back in, I looked at my FOV and it was back down to like 90. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because I run it at 110.
I run it at either 120 on my PC or on my TV. It's 110. So depends on where I am.
But yeah, having to go in and change 90, all that stuff.
But I don't do 90.
Well, Jigsy didn't realize that, and like he was doing the boot camp challenge things, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on with my game, dude?" Like everything just felt like slow. And I think that was like one of the comments you made to me, and I'm like, "Well, you got to make sure you check your FOV slider because that changed." And like I said, there were people throughout the day that were dropping videos on settings, and different tweets and stuff like that. Like Iceman Isaac, he had one. about settings and things. So anyway, so how's your week been though, man? Like what'd you have going on this week?
Week was pretty good. Week was good. Nothing dramatic this time around, which was kind of nice. Had a busy weekend, a lot going on. Then what did we have? Got some stuff going on this week. Just otherwise working on projects. And let's see here. I'm installing an electric fence later today. We'll play the don't touch the electric fence, or do. See who wants to play with it.
That's
we are
crazy.
At that age where that reference makes sense.
Yes.
Ren and Stimpy.
Well, cool. So I did that conference. I flew out Monday. My flight actually on the way back, everything was perfect. We took off on time. I got home. I mean, the worst part was hitting traffic really close to my house, and it added about another 20 minutes to my trip that I wouldn't have had. But anyway, I got home. I started my update, and I finally, I think, was able to hop on about 6:30 or so and play. Nice. Yeah, what are your first impressions? I mean, we're going to get specific later on, but like just overall of the update and season 1.
When you put it in perspective of things like the launch of Warzone 2 and the launch of Caldera, it was an improvement. From a major technical standing, I observed no game-breaking problems. I'll put it like that. I observed no game-breaking issues. The maps load. It doesn't have pixelation issues. You don't get the what's it called? Remember the bug where your gun turned into like this giant black blob?
Dude, that was awful. It looked like you had obsidian, or it was like one of the fucking symbiotes from
it looked like a symbiote.
Venom.
Yes. And nothing like that. The map didn't have rendering issues. I had it in Caldera sometimes where the map just wouldn't render. I would be walking around in space and I would see little objects, and that was it. I know the map wouldn't load at all. A couple of crashes, a couple of little issues here and there, but nothing a restart didn't solve. So from a strictly technical standpoint, the launch was great. It worked well. There are some design choices that I think don't work well and are creating problems. And there are some, a variety of minor hiccups. And I think there are some issues with the Omni movement that are not as prevalent. There are issues with Omni movement that I think are not really noticeable in Black Ops in multiplayer because the time to kill it, the game plays differently, right?
Well, and it was built for the Omni movement. Like the whole game was built around the Omni movement.
Sure, but it's like the way they implement it. There's certain things that work really well and certain things that I don't think do work well, and Warzone exposes some of those, in my opinion. And so that was kind of an interesting. It's been interesting, and then the audio is a mess. It's a huge mess right now.
Oh yeah, I should have even put that. I'm an idiot for not putting that on the list because I think we do need to drill down on that. So like overall, to me, I tweeted this earlier. I think that what they were trying to do. So let me back up. Black Ops 6, that update, perfect, not a problem. I played a few rounds of multiplayer. I'm going to play some more as far as, the season 1. I'm going to play that. That's cool.
Season 1 of multiplayer is working great.
Yeah. Now, we're talking specifically Warzone, where I feel like perhaps, and unless there's some kind of like software or design issue that I'm unaware of, I feel like maybe they tried to bite off and change entirely too much at one time, and maybe could have staggered some of this throughout the first season rather than trying to do all of this at one time.
I don't know what they could have staggered, to be honest. It's all put together as a package, right?
Because they changed a lot, dude. It's a pretty sweeping overhaul of Warzone itself.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what some of the specifics that they've changed, right? Some things such as, how do I put it? Movement overhaul, right? The whole movement physics and mechanics were replaced. Same with the audio engine was replaced. And then on top of that, you have a lot of little things that were changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, besides, I don't know what else really, movement and audio are the big things that they've, are the big components, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
weapons and whatnot, but that's, that's just an adjustment. I mean, they changed the UI, which, aside from apparently breaking stats again, the UI is
What do you
working
mean
really
breaking
well.
stats?
Oh, it's weird now. It's like you have to drill down through the leaderboard to get to your stats.
There's no overall combat record like we had before where you could see it and then see your last 10 games. It's only the leaderboard.
Right. And it's kind of like...
That's kind of wonky.
They'll fix it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, they'll fix. That
I mean, hope so.
Minor things, right? Those are minor. And the stats seem to be tracking.
Well, that's good because I don't want to go back to Warzone 2 at the end where a third of my kills counted and all of my fucking deaths, and I lost out on several wins that ended up just not counting. I guess so. So there's that, but so I'm not like of the thought process where I just want to like hop on here and just completely shit on them because I feel like what they're trying to do overall, I can see the big picture. So I know that, when you have an update like this, there are going to be things that are broken. But the first two things immediately are things you've already just brought up. That audio is terrible. It is absolutely terrible because I can hear my footsteps louder than I can the enemy's footsteps. That's got to change. It needs to be the other way around. I don't know if they put a 1 where there should have been a 2 or a dot where there should have been something else, but like, dude, that shit it's awful. Just it's absolutely awful. Like that's off. Then you have Prox chat seems to be off to me too. And I don't know if maybe that's another setting that I got to go back in and readjust because it's loud as fuck now. Like
there's a setting, there's
the volume level.
There's a volume settle.
Yeah. But so
I have mine at 40. Mine did. That's one of the few settings that didn't change. My game chat audio is set to like 40% or something. So if you have it up, it's gonna deafen you for sure.
Yeah, and the movement though too. So I mean, let's just go ahead and get right into it. The movement to me still feels a little bit delayed and clunky, even though I have that slider off. Specifically, if you look at like parachuting in, the timing on that's off. It's not
timing is off on everything. There's a lot of timing issues.
When you cut your shoot to when you try to throw it back up again, it's off. Like I've even noticed, like I feel like I can't land with as much precision as I could before, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had one. I was dropping in on a guy, and ended up bouncing off of him, which collision issues we'll talk about in a minute here. But I ended up bouncing off of him, and it was kind of crazy because I bounced off of him, and he didn't know what the heck happened. He was looking for me, but I couldn't. Like, I got bounced and like rotated because I was cutting my shoot, and then got stuck in that whole like you've landed and you're stunned a little bit, and you're still messing with your shoot and pulling your gun out. Mm-hmm. So thankfully he got turned around and thought I went over him instead of bouncing off of him and landing behind. And so he was looking the wrong way, and I got my gun up in time and feasted. But it was a close one, closer than it should have been, because he was not aware. Because the audio didn't give him the cue that I was dropping on his nuts. So it worked out.
Well, the other thing too is like I feel like prior to this update, like in Warzone, like there was that little like subdivision, like shops and stuff right there by where they installed Super. Mm-hmm. There's that area, and then you have that river that's back the other way, but there's a zip, right? That you can zip across the water.
Yep.
I feel like I could hop that and in one fluid movement hit that zip and slide across. I noticed I was missing some zips, like the timing on from pushing the button was not actually it wasn't doing the action. Now I don't think that's a skill issue. I have that elsewhere, but not there. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's kind of a little off now, and it's just really like the timing of everything is just needs to be tweaked for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's like we're playing delay zone again, and this is what I mean. This is one of the things that ruined Warzone 2.0. The delays, everything delayed, right? Sprint to fire delay, ADS delay, um, cut your shoot and land delay, right? Slide and then stand up delay, right? Slide to fire delay, move and put your plates in and delay, right? Delay, 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 delay. Call of Duty does best when there's no delay. Gun goes up, ADS goes up,
Fluidity,
shoot your bullets, right? Fluid.
yes.
It doesn't have to be off the wall crazy jetpacks, but it needs to be fluid. When Call of Duty is not fluid, it does not run well. People get frustrated because they can't do what they want to do. Right now, everything is delayed again. Opening a box, you can't put a box down and get your plates out or your ammo out. You have to put it down, you have to let it open, you have to sit there and count to 5 and then order some pizza and then you can get your shit, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've thrown a box down, went to pick up ammo, like throw the box down, hit the ammo because that's the timing I'm used to, then turn around and get into a gunfight and I don't have any bullets left because I didn't actually get any ammo. I have to go back and sit there and go, please, Mr. Box, can I have my ammo, please? Right?
Yeah.
Same shit with plates, right? You throw the box down, it should automatically open up plates in your inventory. Done. It should be instantly. The act of throwing the box down should instantly give you, the thrower of the box, your plates. It doesn't do that. It throws it down, it pops open, and then when it's done the animation, you can get your plates. You have to go back and push the button and ask for the plates. And they need to not do that shit.
I 100% agree with you. I don't know why you put stuff like that in a game. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, IW did that shit on purpose. But Treyarch, this is a little out of character for them because this is their BR this year. This year it is their BR. So, even though Raven is kind of overseeing everything, it's still based off of things that are in the Treyarch game. So it just makes me wonder if it's not just an inadvertent thing and that, within the next few days, if a lot of this stuff will be, will be fixed. I hope so, because I feel like I said, conceptually, I can see kind of what they're doing and the direction they're trying to go. And I like it because it does feel more like the game loop from Warzone 1 when we were in Verdansk and Verdansk 84, right? Like, I played last night for 3.5 hours and I had a great, even with the issues, I mean, Jigsy disconnected twice. We had a couple games where both of us or one or both of us had 100+ something ping, that kind of thing. And, but I mean, overall, the experience was okay. Looking past some of these issues, right? Like assuming these things are going to be fixed. But right. One of the biggest L's, which they literally snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory with this one. And I don't understand how you do this after everyone yesterday is literally praising you for allowing them to use the double XP tokens from the previous iteration in Black Ops 6. And then they come in today and it was announced Modern Warzone, as well as Charlie Intel just tweeted not long ago that Treyarch pulled those out of Black Ops 6. Now, while we were chatting here, it looks like you confirmed that you could go in and do the old trick, correct?
Which is stupid, and it's a pain in the butt, and it's a dumb thing to have to do. But basically, yeah, they've taken it out of the UI, so you can't activate your Warzone tokens. But here's the thing to remember, right? Warzone and Black Ops have shared progression, which means the token timers are going to share. So you'll be able to, you're still able, as of right now, time and date of recording, right? To go into Warzone, start a timer on a double XP token, and then flip back over to Black Ops and collect the XP there. So I did test that. It does work right now. It probably will continue to do so, but they're not going to. They're going to make you jump through hurdles because reasons.
It's really stupid that they're doing that. If you just let people use their tokens, a lot of people are going to be out of those tokens before the end of season 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could be.
I mean, I have a shit ton of tokens because I didn't use them a lot because of that lame ass seasonal prestige where you're capped. So to me, there was no point.
There's no point
because I was gonna as mentioned before several times, I was already maxed out just mainly because of playtime, right? Like I was maxed out by season whatever reloaded. So yeah, I think that that's a huge L that they took those away. That with all the other. So here's the other thing, and I've been praising Treyarch, and and so when they deserve praise, I'm going to do that. But when they deserve criticism, they're going to get it from me and from this show. We've praised them for everything they've done, but when you look at all of the other issues that people have been talking about on social media since the season 1 update, they prioritized that.
I mean, look, I think it was Mr. Marvel TV just, had a tweet about it where he said, let me try and find it, but he basically said, we'll fix you, we'll fix it for you. What did he say? He said, we'll fix it for you. We're too insecure about our about our multiplayer game being used as a weapon leveling tool to let you have your tokens there, which is probably a true statement.
Well, I think it's unfounded because Black Ops 6 is legitimately a good game. And a lot of people. Yeah, there are going to be some that only use it to level weapons, but now that Plunder is in there, they're just going to be doing that. Like, I know people that love the BR that hate multiplayer, like my buddy Riddick. He's like, yeah, the multiplayer's trash. And I mean, honestly, dude, you're a hell of a BR player, but, I haven't really seen you play a whole lot of multi, so you might be trash too. How you like them? No, not really. I'm joking. But no, I mean, like, there are people that are going to just use Plunder and, did you see that list of leaked modes that are supposed to be coming? And I tagged you in
Clash
the one.
is coming. Clash is coming back.
That's
a good mode.
I like that mode. That mode was fun. I would hop on and warm up on that and just snipe with my K-Swiss, dude.
I had a great time sniping in that mode.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, dude. Like just kind of like mindless fun, right? Like you don't have to really like sweat or think or whatever, but anyway, yeah, I think
they give you a good opportunity to practice different things, right? Because you're constantly in an engagement. You don't have to hunt down somebody to fight. I think that's part of the problem. Is a lot of times you have to hunt down people to fight, and so Plunder. This map does not play well for Plunder, in my opinion. If you aren't playing Plunder, if you were looking to get into gunfights,
you have to drop hot every time.
Yeah, but it runs out. Like I stopped doing it because I would drop hot and I would mop the area I'm in, and I'd end up with like 20 kills, and then there just wasn't anybody to kill. Nobody would come back.
Why don't they just put Plunder over on Resurgence? It seems like that mode would probably fit better over there anyway.
They did Plunder on Rebirth, and it was pretty bad.
Really?
It did not play well, and I think part of it is because everybody kept coming back, and everybody stacked their nuts off. Like you couldn't drop in, like there, it was like that was the great part about. Look, I'm gonna say that was the great part about Plunder in Warzone 1 on Verdansk, because you had Storage Town, and everybody dropped Storage Town, and everybody knew that Storage Town was where you went to just brawl. Like that, you didn't loot, you shot people, and then you died, and that's how it worked. And you would drop in, and you get 3 or 4 kills maybe, and then you get whacked, and then you drop in again. And you do it again, right? It's where I learned to snipe. It's where I learned to work positioning and integrate movement into my game because you had to survive through Storage Town. I would have I would create challenges for myself. I would run a gauntlet. I would land at one end of Storage Town and try and get all the way through to the other side without getting killed. And you had to do that by having movement. You had to practice your slide cancels. You had to get your bunny hop, your transitions, right? You had to be able to do those things. And you had to do it under pressure because you were always, always, always getting shot at by somebody. And that doesn't exist, right? The only place that you can go is like Low Town. Or Old Town, right? Old Town is kind of like the hottest-ish place.
That's where I would drop when I was learning mouse and key because I wanted to fight, and that was where But I mean, even there, people played ratty. Like, remember, I got that clip of me bullying that kid who landed up on that fucking tower or whatever in Plunder. Plunder, he's sitting up there, and I bullied him into letting me headshot him. But, that is one thing, though, and I've seen other people tweet this over the last week or so, and it actually makes sense to me. And I should give credit where credit is due. That is one of the things with 2019 and Warzone, that first iteration, that Infinity Ward did do well. Their gunfighting and their fluidity for things, even though they didn't intend the slide cancel to be in there, but those things were top notch, and it has not been the same since they tried to change it. I feel like they had the perfect formula. Just leave it like that, and give us new maps.
They had so much going for them.
They did.
And we have been backsliding ever since Caldera. Ever since Caldera, we've been on a backslide. And it's right about midway through, they changed they nerfed sniping. And they added all that other goofy. That's when they started adding all the goofy stuff in.
Yeah, you can't sprint and reload, that kind of shit with the Vanguard. That was so maddening to me in Caldera, where the Vanguard weapons, if you picked one up, like, you couldn't reload and move at the same time. Like, that was so fucking maddening to me. But and like, there are people that are like, oh well, see. You guys did all this complaining on Verdansk, and they gave you a new map, and then you just complained about that. Well, okay, dude. Yeah, they did a lot of changes from what we originally had fluidity-wise and those kind of things. And then when we say we want a new map, I have a newsflash for you. We want one that's better, not fucking worse. And by all measures, Caldera is the worst map we've had on this game, in my opinion.
Yes. I am famous for agreeing with you on that.
Yeah. But anyway, so speaking of maps, why don't you tell me your thoughts on Area 99? Because I have not played it. I don't have a whole lot of interest in playing Resurgence. It's just not for me, but tell me what you think. I'm probably going to give it a run at least a couple times just so I can say I did it. But
so here's the problem at the end of the day with the... Here's the problem with I'm going to be very clear about my issue with this map is going to be a combination of the map itself, and I will try and separate out issues with the map versus issues that I ran into because they reset all of my settings. And I, of course, did the thing where I loaded in. I had people straight up ready to play, so it's like I just jumped right in, figured we'd be fine, and they had a terrible time. It was terrible.
Joke's on you.
Joke's on me, right? You got to book an hour to screw with stuff. And mess with dead zones too. That's a weird one to have reset.
Mine weren't.
I couldn't aim for shit because I'm used to having a 0.1 dead zone, and I had a 10 dead zone. Miserable. Anyway, Area 99. Where do I go? I've said it before, and I will say it again. I love the lore that they've crafted this map around.
Yeah,
I love that it has a reason to exist. Okay? It's not just, it's like we've had reasons for maps to exist, right? That's part of Call of Duty. That's part of Warzone since the beginning. What makes Warzone kind of fun. So, for example, we had Rebirth Island was the gas factory for the gas that we have in Warzone, right? Mm-hmm. Like literally the gas that comes and gets you in Warzone came from this factory, and they created a whole history for it. And in Caldera, I give them credit for this again. They went back, and it's like it was the fact that's when they created the factory, right, in order to create, the gas in the 40s, and then it just kind of became Soviet and was in like a Soviet gas factory, right, through Cold War, and then into the modern day it was a terrorist gas factory, whatever. However, it worked out. It had a reason to exist. Okay, then they kind of got away from that, right? We had what was the other? Fortune's Keep didn't have a reason to. It had like a little bit of. Fortune's Keep, I will say, had at least some lore, like had some storyline on why everything was different, right? Because remember, they have gold bars instead of. So it has its own like storyline and kind of exists for that reason. But then they had Ashika, which had nothing. It just existed. Vondel just existed. Then they tried a couple, Superstore Resurgence, which was trash, and they tried Fortress Resurgence, which sucked.
Well, for not sorry to cut you off, but like the thing about Vondel is if you remember that season, it was Makarov's girlfriend or daughter or some shit like took over. Like that was like where they were trying to go, and then like they talked about it for like a week, and then like they didn't. It was nothing prolonged, and they did something similar with Ashika, but like you're right, though. Like it wasn't like story driven content that dripped through the season for it.
There was no lore in it. There's no like so that's they gave it an introduction, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing in those maps that relates to anything else, right? They are completely standalone. They're not great, to be honest. Like they weren't the best maps, but Ashika was terrible. But
which one did you like? So, all right, you're a Resurgence player. I don't want to cut you off too much again, but what's your favorite Resurgence map? Like, what is your which one do you like the most?
It's Rebirth Island. It's the best map.
It's the shipment of Warzone, basically.
Well, because it's the best. Like it is the best example of a good small map. You have POIs with separation. So you have open space between the POIs. Okay. POIs have advantages and disadvantages depending on where you are. They are all different from each other. Right? In a good way. The main POIs are big enough that you can move with space. Right? You can maneuver through them. It's not like Vondel's hallways. Right, where it's like one guy with a shotgun owns the staircase.
Or them snake shots you like to use.
Yeah, right. You don't have the whole map isn't a bunch of pinch points. It is difficult to hold any given power position without taking taking fire from elsewhere, but things are spread enough, and this is going to be important when I talk about Area 99. Things are spread enough that when you take fire, you can take cover, right? Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you're on top of Bio, you can shoot at the water tower. You can shoot at Chemical.
Prison too, right?
And you can shoot at Prison a little bit. And they can all shoot back at you. But the odds that aside from a headshot from a sniper that can one-shot down at range, the odds that you go down and get limbed from that, unless you are stubborn and refuse to duck, right, is low, right? You can sit there and pump ammo at somebody and they will just keep getting back up. As long as they have plates, they will keep getting back up. They will duck down, replate, pop back up. And it is good. It works well because you can hold different power positions. You can control parts of the map. There's map control. There's flow to it. When you are in individual gunfights, there's enough room to move. There's enough places, cubby holes and doors and windows to kind of break visual range and, break contact and replate and recover or evade and escape. If you need to, there's just a lot of balance to that map, right? So you have enough places of close range fighting where, the TikTok-y style works out well. And you have places where sniping works out well, and you have places where you can long range shoot and it works out well. Okay. it's a very well balanced map, and it is the best balanced map they've come up with yet. They have not been able to recapture that with any other map they've made.
So how does 99 feel then? Like in comparison?
99 has a lot of POIs that are very interesting. I have not explored them all, but it is very exposed. It is possibly the most exposed map I've ever played on. So if you die, you will probably be shot and at least lose all of your plates before you touch the ground again. There's no loot in Area 99. I think I have averaged 7 rooms before I find a gun, and it's usually either that dog shit automatic shotgun or semi-automatic shotgun, or it's a sniper.
That's so
Sometimes
weird.
you get both out of the same box,
But
there's no guns.
Like that on Urzikstan for you, because it wasn't like that to me on Urzikstan last night. Like I'm wondering if that's just 99. Like that's just a 99 problem.
Urzikstan is much better because in its loot distribution, and I don't think they messed with the loot distribution, but they didn't when they built Area 99. I don't believe that they added enough points of loot.
Does that map play better for like SMGs or like I guess if there's the open space, it's got to be probably the ARs and the marksmen.
So the problem is that the POIs they're all exposed, right? There's not a huge elevation shift around the map. But there's not a lot of cover either. And a lot of the cover is penetrable. So even if you're ducked behind a wall, you can still get hit through it. And when you land, depending on where you land, neighboring POIs have great vantage points on you, right? So early in the game, right, like you can go in and if you die in the opening stanza and you have to drop back once the first circle is closing, usually a couple of teams have claimed different rooftops. And you're just getting blasted, right? So you land on the ground and then you run into the rats. And I have a great clip. I didn't get a chance to put it up earlier, but I'm going to put it up after this podcast of I landed after dying on a building where there is nobody. Walk in, find some guns, find some plates, go upstairs. I open a door and then die. And I couldn't understand where I died from because I couldn't see anybody out the windows. And this sumbitch had set up a portable screen, right?
Portable cover, yeah.
Portable cover. And then stood behind the door. So when you open the door opened up and opened up to the edge of the screen, to the deployable cover, and he was hiding behind the door. So it was impossible to see him until he stepped out from behind the screen and shot me in the back of the head.
That's who we cater the games to, by the way, Sub. That's
which is infuriating because if you land and you try to be aggressive, you don't find any guns. If you land and you find guns, you run into a rat just hiding up there like a piece of crap. And so it was, yeah, the flow of the map and there's, it may be that this map kind of works itself out a little bit. Eventually, we'll see. But it's not like Control, where if you drop, so for example, on Rebirth, if you drop Control, there's guns everywhere, right? There's
up
3
top.
levels of guns plus the roof, plus the surrounding area. And if that's too hot and you can't find anything, you can land to the boats at neighboring POI. There's the sheds right across the street. You can land on the hill behind it. You get some guns and you can push in and re-engage. There's just not enough loot. There's not enough loot to regain in this mode. And the other problem of rooftop superiority in this map being a thing, which it is, you can't get your loadout reliably. Because if you try to get your loadout, it's going to be camped by at least 2 teams on rooftops. So when you land to try and, when you push to your loadout, no matter how much you do, how careful you are, somebody is sitting there waiting for you and they will shoot you when you were trying to get your shit. So the map is not flowing well. It doesn't have a good flow to it. And that's something that, people said that that was comments that I heard from a couple of different creators coming out of Next. The map wasn't great. Didn't seem to have great flow, and I agree with that. It doesn't have great flow. The loot pool needs to be doubled, minimum. At least the weapons out of it. But overall, like everything, weapons, ammo, armor, you need to double it. And then they need to do something about the rooftops, because you just cannot move from POI to POI. Like those, they have those dorms, right? Those round things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are so exposed. There's no cover on them, on top of them. Every window faces at least 2 POIs. So at least every window, no matter what room you're in, somebody can see you. And I had so many fights where I'm struggling to find plates and to find ammo and to find a gun. And meanwhile, every room I get into, somebody else is shooting at me. I died once. I had 7 people hit me. And that was before I ran into the 3 guys stacking downstairs that pushed up and actually got the kill. But when I died, I had like 9 people on the list of people that did damage to me before I could actually heal and replate.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous. And and everywhere you go, somebody's going to dominate a POI, and that's just theirs. And they will own it. And until the gas makes them move, there's nothing you can do about it.
So it sounds to me like it's a fucking almost like an in-circle jailbreak. You know, like where they pull the jailbreak at the end circle, and you're just basically cannon fodder coming in. Like you have nowhere to loot, nowhere for cover, no safety, no nothing. You're just a free kill for somebody else that's on a POI. Basically, is what it sounds like to me.
I need to go back. So one thing I need to do is I need to go back and look at tape of. We won a game. I won the first game on with. I was playing with some KLG camper and not heated. I was playing with. I think it was just camper. I think Husky was off that game, and then somebody else was in. Some rando was in. But we came out with a W. No help. No. Not thanks to me. That's for sure. But that game, it went from 7 teams alive before the 4th circle closed, I think. Started closing. And by the time it closed, there were 3 teams up, and one of them, it was a team of 1, a team of 2, and a team of 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of like that, where everybody came together. Everybody ratted and held their POIs, and then were forced together at the last minute. And it went from a fairly full lobby to 2 teams left, very, very quickly. So, and that's not, in my opinion, that's not a great indicator of a balanced map, right? You should not have a ton of teams up late in game. You should have a couple of teams up. They can be full teams or not. There should be a couple of teams up, and they skirmish as they come together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, it was a ton of teams that all slammed together all at once. So, kind of like World Series of Warzone, right? Everybody's up until the end, and then nobody's up. All of a sudden, everybody goes quick.
Because SSD kills everybody. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I felt like. See, I feel like Urzikstan is playing a little bit of the opposite, which is kind of weird. Unless you had anything else to add to the Area 99 thing, we could probably just get into the Urzikstan.
Grab as shit, dude. Have that. You know what? They have that new operator. Here's the thing. You want to do well in Urzikstan? Go online and buy Silent Sands, the Silent Sands bundle, and you get this desert operator. And I swear to God, you run that, no one will ever find you.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you the operator picture. You can see it.
In any case, I feel like Urzikstan is actually, I don't know. It felt like the matches last night, like were going fairly quick. I played some solos, and I had a I had a second place. I lost because the guy was on top of Trump Tower and shooting me from up top, and I was I rotated, and I anticipated him being down low, and he wasn't, so that was
Fair.
on me. And then we had a second in duos, King and I did, but I felt like those matches were going quickly as far as like the squads being whittled down. And you want to know why I feel like it's that way?
Why?
Well, my theory is the fact that unless you find a fucking satchel, you only get 6 plates. Do you know there was a few matches last night where I'm running around where I have no fucking plates?
Yep.
Because no plates, you die faster. So maybe that also might be why it felt like at times the TTK was fast, because obviously I didn't have plates sometimes, so that's why I was feeling that way. I don't know, but
I just messaged you that bundle.
Okay. I mean, like, overall, like, I felt like, where did you send that? Twitter? Let me get out of here. What the fuck? Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah. Blend right in. Jesus. This
Rose
is more
3.0.
This is more of the Dune stuff. So for those of you that are watching, I'll put it right here up by the camera. You can see, like, that'll blend right in perfectly, like he was saying. But, like, I feel like, with the plates, the no backpacks, and I had to go back, and I was going to try to run my loadouts without smokes yesterday. Not doing it. I put them back on. Because
the stims, though. The stims are back. Stims are so back.
I didn't really use them much or anything, but
dude, you're flying. I was getting shit on by somebody. I popped a stim, and it was like friggin' Wile E. Coyote there, just ripping it, man. I was going. I was booking it.
What? Let me ask you this: what perk package are you running?
I haven't messed with them too much. I'm just kind of running what I ran last year in Warzone, so running the equivalent of the new Mountaineer
Dexterity,
which is not as good. Ask me how I know.
Break your legs.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I dropped off a zip line to kill somebody and it didn't go correctly. But yeah, dexterity, restock, and it's the other one that I was running. Shoot, I can't remember what it's called.
Well, you have alertness, tempered, bird's eye, ghost, resolute, and gung ho for your third perk slot.
I am running gung ho.
So I am running dexterity. I have one class, like my sniper class, with cold blooded on it. But on my non-sniper class, I think I'm running that sprinter, which gives you tactical sprint indefinitely. So, I feel like that's what was it, fucking double time perk, more or less, maybe a little bit better. And then obviously I'm running Ghost, and that's about what I'm running. It looks like High Alert is in the same perk slots. So for the first perk slot, you have Veteran, Grenadier, Dexterity, Scavenger, and Survivor. I think this Veteran perk might be the way to go at some point, because check this out. So it reduces the negative effects of some enemy equipment. Immunity to Grenadier, immunity to snapshots, resistant to flash, gas, movement, and shock negative effects. While aiming down sights, reduce flinch and extend hold breath duration. I feel like that perk might end up being a little OP at some point.
It could be.
For it to do all that. So like that, if I'm not running dexterity, that one, or even the survivor one, which is you start regenerating health more quickly. Health regens after 3 seconds. Your allies revive you faster when you're downed, which I think I can see that being one of the top perks in ranked play.
I'm going to say this. It's going to be the only veteran's only going to be useful if people don't run smokes or stims. If people run smokes or stims, you're not going to have any of these effects. They won't run snapshots. They won't run flash, gas grenades.
But to snipe with it, though, the flinch reduction, though, that's going to be
Right,
That's
yeah,
going to
if
be
you're
good.
sniping, I guess you could probably justify that.
Yeah. Or
yeah, sniping.
survivor perk.
Quick fix. Well, the old quick fix.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, quick fix will probably be there. Nobody will ever use scavenger because it's terrible.
I don't.
Reflex is going to be limited. No one should use reflexes. Veteran, yeah, veteran's a good snipe. Probably the sniper one. You'll see veteran. Grenadier, I don't know that you should use Grenadier, to be honest. I don't think that the benefits are going to be worth it versus some of these other perks, right?
Yeah.
Dexterity, you can limit Tim the Tapman-ish. Tim the Tapmanning. It does make a difference. Like, I don't want to imply that it's not working, that it's broken. Like, but it's not as effective. It doesn't feel, I'll say this, because I don't know definitively. It does not feel as effective as it was in MW2 or MW3 as Mountaineer.
Yeah.
So I've taken more fall damage than I care to admit to, thinking that it was going to cover me. So, but still good enough. So I enjoyed that one. Veteran will probably end up, but veteran's not out yet, right? I don't think that's available to us.
No, it's not.
We got to wait for that event, that hit list event, come out. Perk 2 quartermaster. So restock.
Yeah.
It's a 50-second recharge. I wish they'd cut that down. I think 35 or 40 seconds is enough. Only 50 seconds over is a little too much personally. But bomb squad,
that one could be interesting because think about this. If you're you got a team that's camped up in a building and you're able to like hack their claymores and shit like that.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's a niche, right? Like, I mean, if we were playing Rainbow Six Siege, I'd say like one person would fill that role. I just don't know that I don't know that it's going to be relevant enough to justify it.
Right.
So like, it's when it's good, when it's useful. If you find it on the ground, great. But I think for the most part, I just don't think that there's enough usefulness of it overall. Tracker, always good. Follow people as they run around. Enemies that down you are automatically pinged is a new one, which so Tracker has the new the ping auto ping on it, which is in multiplayer really I found it very useful, to be honest.
Isn't that basically Combat Scout?
It's combined, so you get the footsteps on the floor and you get the Combat Scout, but it's
how did he see me? How did he know I was there? Well, fucking, there you go. There's one of your 87 ways to know.
Free wall hacks.
Yeah.
But it's just, and it's weird because like the farther away they are, the longer the ping lasts. I don't know. Probably usable. Sprinter, as you mentioned, infinite tactical sprint, really good. Cold blooded, also good. For combating stuff. And then quick fix. Health regen.
Seems a little redundant between this one and the other one on the other perk package, the Survivor.
Yeah. Survivor is quick. Like, if you put the two of them on, you're going to be like just max health all the time.
Which
you get it back faster, and you get it. Hey, you know what? Some people are going to run that, and they're going to do well.
Yeah.
And then perk 3, Gung Ho, so reduce movement penalties. We talked about how many reduce delays. We need more ways to reduce delays is what we need, to be honest.
Stop building them into the damn game. How about that?
Resolute, boost your speed as you take damage. So combine that with stims. I believe they stack. Good for getting away, but I don't think it's as strong. I don't think it's as strong as it could be. Like you combine that with the other two, and you could be like the tank, just survives everything. Mr. Regain. But I wouldn't trade that for Ghost, for example. Ghost does, works only while moving. Works only while moving again. And immunity to heartbeat and prox alarm, which is good. Bird's eye.
This one's gonna end up being fucking OP, I think.
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be OP because it just, it doesn't do like Bird's Eye stopped being super relevant when they stopped making it go off for everybody else's stuff. Remember when Bird's Eye, like anytime any UAV ping for anybody within range,
the whole team would see it.
Yeah, and then some people were bugged and they could equip that even after they removed it from Warzone.
Yeah,
I remember that. I was one of those special ones, so I enjoyed that. That was fun. But I haven't really run it since, unless it came, unless I picked it up off the ground by mistake.
Well, did you see that it will also detect players with ghosts, which the other one did?
Yeah.
Also, players with ghosts do not show a heading.
Yeah.
Whatever. Will no longer increase sweep speed or duration of UAVs. Womp womp
so
for them.
Nerf.
Yeah. And unlocked at level 23.
Yeah. It's not worth it. I don't see it being worth it versus some of the other perks here, like Ghost or Tempered, 2 plates. And this new, and then Alertness. Alertness is the new high alert, right? Sense when enemies are nearby. I've seen some stuff about it. I hear it's pretty solid. I don't have it unlocked right now because Prestige, so I haven't been able to mess with it. But yeah, I mean, good perk.
Well,
it's a good spread of perks. I don't think there's gonna be any. It's not like Warzone 1 where there was just 3 perks you ran, like everybody ran the same perks. I think there's a lot of ways, there's a number of perks in each category that you can flex your, you have flexibility on how you want to build your class. So I think it's great, to be honest. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think about the vests?
It was good. They're plentiful. They're around. They're not hard to find.
I didn't feel that way my first match or two. Like I couldn't fucking find one. I don't know why. But then like the rest of the night, it seemed like they were on the fucking ground all the time. So
yeah,
not a big deal. Like, I don't know. It kind of sucks. Like I said, having only 6 plates, especially if you're sniping or stuff. But there's ways around that. You drop your plate box and you drop your other plates before you grab plates out of the box. Like, there's ways to do that if you're sniping. And, and that's something else to point out too. No more stacking multiple boxes of anything. It's you got to choose.
We're back. Hey, we're back to the old loop, right?
I like that, actually.
And
it takes some getting used to, but I like it.
It felt better. I'll say this. It felt a lot better. I played last night with my buddy, and we were running duos. And at one point, it was like I had a plate box. There was a mini box in front of me. We both had full plates, so there was no point in dropping it, and we both were good on ammo. But he had a flare in his hand. And so I said, hey, can you carry the muni box or a plate box? And he goes, no, I've got the flare. I don't want to put that down. Okay, fair, right? And then, sure enough, I died almost immediately after that. And then he was able to use the flare to get me back before that team hunted him down and killed him. And I landed somewhere else, and we played on and did okay. But it was a decision, right? There was a moment of how to make a choice.
Consequences, baby.
Consequences. So
I like that a lot.
So even though the flare was available, it wasn't like before where you could just tuck it away and it's like, oh, well, I'll just dump this. I'll dump my 12th stack of plates and carry the flare in reserve. It was literally, here's 2 things. You pick one.
Did I Did I see this right? Sub, let me ask you this. Did I see? Because I swear this is how I feel like it happened, but I could be wrong. Like if you have 6 plates and then you pick up that plate vest, you go automatically to 12, right? Like it has 6 in it already. Is that? Did I see that right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I feel like that. I feel like
I
that's
want
how
to say
it
it
was.
doesn't. Well, okay, that's how it was in Warzone 1 when you picked up the satchel.
Yeah, like I
But
had
not
6
always.
to start,
But
picked
not
it up,
always.
and then
Not
went
always.
to 12.
No. At launch, when they first introduced satchels, they were empty. They started filling them either partway through Cold War or partway through Caldera. I don't remember which. But then they changed it. They changed the mechanism so that the satchel would be full when you picked it up. It would have the extra plates.
Yes,
And it would take you to 8, if I remember.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna
9.
pay attention to that tonight when I play. I want to pay attention to that because I feel like I know I didn't drink too much beer last night. Like I feel like that's how it actually was. But I mean, again, I've been wrong about several things. So
Well, I'll say this: when I've come across them, so I have definitely come across them and I've put them on, and then I've only had 10 plates. So, and I don't know if I was low or if like for example, I don't know if I was low, right? I only had 2 plates, and so I picked that up, and it, whatever. But also when I find them, they tend to be surrounded by plates. So like I've either killed somebody and I'm picking up off a body, and so I pick it up and I'm automatically picking up plates off that are just on the ground, or it comes out of a box and there's plates on the ground or plates next to me, so I pick it up and then I'm automatically getting the plates that are around it. So I can't tell you, to be honest.
Well, we'll take a look. We'll take a look, and we'll. I'm sure we'll revisit next week. But you want to know one of the dumbest fucking things right now in this game? I think it's dumb as hell. How do I go into the Gulag with like $700 and I come out with like fucking 13,000 because there's all those stacks of like, it's cool. Like, I guess for the it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It's like,
well, it's where they put all the money from the game. They put it in the Gulag.
It's in the Gulag, but like that. I mean, am I off base here? I just feel like that's dumb as hell.
It depends on the Gulag. I've gotten that a couple of times. I've also gotten the one where there's like $8 on the ground and you come out of it almost worse than you started. So
I've gotten that one several times, which tells you I was in the Gulag several times last night. But overall, had a good night, by the way. Yeah. And then the other thing, before we move on from the Gulag, can we please make more light in there? For the love of God, I would like to be able to see what the fuck I'm shooting at. And no, it's not a skill issue. I typically win about half or more than half of my Gulags. Like, there's just some Gulags where I legit cannot fucking see where the guy is or what I'm shooting at. It's too dark. Like, you remember the warehouses in Urzikstan when we first started, right? Like how dark they were. Like you couldn't see that's what the Gulag feels to me. I feel like the Gulag should have lights on, like more light, where you can see what you're fighting.
I don't disagree. I think the Gulag is too dark. And it definitely supports, a darker player skin being, having a distinctive advantage, right?
An endowment pack, baby.
Not saying that I went that way, but it's a consideration. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the Gulag, it's not the best Gulag we've ever had. I think, obviously the OG Showers is the best Gulag they've ever made. And everything's been downhill since then. And every time it comes back, it does well. But the same for Verdansk.
Rotated those.
Caldera had some of the worst Gulags ever. Remember the one with the building in the middle? It had like a hut.
Yeah.
And then it had like two windows and a door in the hut. And then it had lanes down either side. And if you were on console, I remember this one. If you're on console, you can't see all 3 lanes. You have to pick 2 lanes to decide to look through.
Yeah, that blows.
And so when I remember, spectating, which is back, by the way. You can spectate now. They're putting you and your teammate in the same Gulag.
I don't like that.
I think it's great. But I remember spectating it and watching my buddy and just watching the, he was looking one way and the other guy just ran the other lane and just basically walked up behind him and shot him in the back. And I'm like, how could you not see him? He was right there. And he's like, he was on my screen, and he sent me I was spectating, so I got to watch the kill cam, right? And it was never visible on the screen because the FOV was locked at 80.
So I don't like
terrible.
that because I don't think that you should have an advantage in the Gulag. I think it ought to be 50-50 here. Like, if you go to the Gulag with your teammate, but I'm in the Gulag fighting you and I don't have my teammate, it is not fucking fair for you to be able to get comms on where I am from your teammate that's not fighting. Like, or if that's going to be the case, then they should let me fucking shoot your teammate that's up in the stands watching. Let me do that and get a free kill, and I'll be okay with it.
Maybe don't go to the Gulag by yourself. Your whole team should get wiped out at the same time so that you can spectate each other.
You know that's not how it happens, bro. People fucking turn into Somali fucking marathon runners when we get into a fight sometime, man. They're fucking air bries and they're gone, dude.
They get their Jordans on and they're gone.
Dude, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm a grumpy old man.
Yeah. No, you know what? It's one of those things of like, I will say this. You got to be good at throwing comms. Like you got to be good at throwing them, and you got to be good at hearing them and reacting to it. Because I have been in gulags and been like, go here, go there. He's left, he's right, and the guy just is like doesn't know his left from his right and can't figure out what to do, and he gets clapped. And it's like you actually probably did worse than if you just laid down and waited for him to walk in front of you.
Do you remember that one from Tim and Dr. Disrespect where he I think it was Dr. Disrespect that was in the Gulag and Tim was trying to give him comms and it was like the complete fucking opposite of what he was and Dr. Disrespect lost his shit?
I didn't see that, but that's funny.
Yeah, it was like OG Warzone.
Yeah. It was, but that one was good. Like I had one last night where it was like I just was able to watch throw the comms when he went to center and cut to the right, and my guy was able to react to it fast enough. But it's one of those things of like, if you have good audio, it doesn't matter as much. Like if the audio works, it doesn't matter as much, right? It's the same difference.
I guess that's true because in the other Gulag, like before this update, you could literally hear the footsteps on the metal, like on the metal floor or whatever. Like you could hear pretty good. But like also too, depending on who I'm playing with, I mute when I go into the Gulag anyway, so I can fucking hear. Like I'm not hearing a bunch of bitching or whatever. But also too, I don't expect my teammates that are out in the field fighting to be quiet while I'm in the Gulag. Like it's like you're in the map fighting. It's cool. So
there's a reason on my Steam Deck I have Discord. I have deafen as a Discord button, so I can. Me too. I'm going to shut you all up. I don't want to hear you. Let me do my thing.
And they can't hear me say, "Oh, you motherfucker!" Like after I.
Yeah. So I think it's a nice. I don't think it's a problem because look, if your whole team is in the Gulag, every little bit helps to get back out. Right?
They should just bring the 2v2 Gulag back.
Oh, please do.
I fucking listen, dude.
2v2 with pistols. I would. You know what I would rather do? You know what I would rather see instead of? Here's what they should do because they had the what's it called? They had the jailer, right? Who was a juggernaut. Because if you remember, the 2v2 Gulag was pistols, or was basically different, pistols only. They should have a center bomb to defuse. Kill everybody, or defuse the bomb. Defuse the bomb, all 4 of you go loose if you're still alive. If you're dead, you're dead. But if you don't defuse the bomb, you're all dead.
What about like the Star Wars trash compactor, right? Like it just starts closing in, and in order to make the button work to stop, you have to kill your opponent in time and also be able to hit the button, and you can shoot it just like you can on Subsonic. So how about that?
Well, if you kill the opponent, it should stop. It should stop.
No, add the extra. It would be fun. It'd be a lot funner than that. No, I'm totally just kidding. I don't want that. That would be fucking awful.
Yeah, that would be bad. But no, like Gulag should be win or not, like win or go home, right? Like I hate the fact that I hated the flag. Capping the flag was always the worst because it was too easy.
And it was inconsistent as fuck too.
Yeah, it was too easy. It was too quick. If you weren't guarding the flag, if you weren't camping the flag, then somebody could cap it before you could get to them. I do like the Ascender because no matter where you are in the Gulag, you can look when you hear them hook up to it. You can aim at it and you can get them as they go up, and that's on you to be skillful enough to kill them as they go up the Ascender.
You got to be able to track.
Unlike the flag, in which there's often nothing you can do, like especially if they start capping it. If they start capping it and you're not right there, by the time you get them, you can't shoot them fast enough to kill them before the flag goes. So I think it's and the boundary was always a little inconsistent, right? Like it felt hard to know exactly where you had to be in the boundary to run the timer. So I think the zipline escape is better. I would prefer a win or somebody wins or everybody dies method, right? Like that's like with the bomb. Like if you're in the Gulag, you want to get out of the Gulag, you need to kill your way out. None of this participation trophy bullshit. Kill the other team, kill the other player, whatever, or you're both dead. None of the, no zip lines, no escapee. Like I definitely think it should be a center bomb. You can run up and defuse the bomb. You can both defuse it twice as fast. If you guys just want to get out of there, fine. But if you're down defusing the bomb, just like at S&D, I can, if I walk up and you're defusing the bomb, I'm going to shoot you in the back of the head and take the kill. I'm going to do it. Put a 25-second timer on the bomb. Start of the Gulag. When you're defusing, the timer stops. Right? And just let it run. You got 25 seconds. Win your Gulag or everybody dies.
I'd be happy if it was just fists only. Like you got a fucking box to get out of there. That'd be fun. It would honestly, it would make the Gulag fun to me because it's fun as fuck. Like if you can actually get somebody that'll drop their weapons and you throw hands, like I've done that.
I love throwing hands,
dude. It's fun.
I like when you can find somebody in the boxing ring.
Yeah,
I've done it. I've gotten a couple of people to do it over the course of Urzikstan. I think I'm 1 and 3. But
yeah, I'm 1 and 2. I'm right there. I've lost more than I've won, but it's still fun. I laughed my ass off. I wasn't mad that I died or whatever. But what guns were you using yesterday? When you were able, when you were able to get your loadout, what guns?
Well, I did not use any guns in Area 99 because
that's crazy.
That I was unable to achieve my loadout at any given moment in time because it was trash. But I am actually using the where is it? The GPR 91.
I'm hearing that's a strong contender for meta for ARs.
Very strong. It does not have the XM4 is slightly better on the TGK, but it's more bullets to kill, and the recoil is a little bit more severe at range. You feel it more.
Gunfighter? You running the Gunfighter wildcard?
So I did some thinking, and I know. So yes and no, because you can buy guns you can buy guns in the buy station still. So I have my loadout, which is overkill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have guns set up. I have a number of different guns set up with Gunfighter. Mm-hmm. So depending on what's going on and what's going on in the map, I will, if we're flush with cash or I've picked up a good piece of ground loot or somebody else's loadout gun that works well, I'll grab an individual gun with Gunfighter and just run with the ground loot, or I'll buy a secondary. But if I am, if we're just off rip, I don't love what I've got. I have an overkill, a couple of overkill loadouts, so it's a little mix and matchy.
I have one overkill loadout, sniper and an SMG. Mm-hmm. So I have that. but I mean the rest I'm running like gunfighter because actually, dude, that's something we didn't really get into yet. Is I mean the ground loot's actually pretty decent. Like I think the ground loot's decent. Like I found a fucking fully gold C9
Yep.
yesterday that I ran with. I found I think like a blue or a purple LR762 that I used, instead. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the ground loot is good. So you can actually, if they leave the ground loot good like this, taking away overkill as default, while it's not awesome, it's still doable. You know what I mean? Like it's still not a big issue because that is one of the things. And Iceman Isaac had a tweet just a little bit ago, and he was talking about that where he pulled several devs aside and was like, "Listen, if you try to make this 1-for-1 perk wise with Warzone, or I mean with the multiplayer, and you take away these default perks like being able to swap your weapons faster, and overkill and things like that, people are not going to like it." And so far, if I'm being honest, I'm not seeing a lot of people that do like it.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll get used to it, but
look, here's the thing. It's about creating balance. Choices have consequence, right? We've talked about this repeatedly.
Yes.
When you build your loadout, it's about having consequences. It's about picking one thing and giving something else up, right? If you run, and that's how it was in Warzone 1, right? You had to think strategically. So if you wanted to get overkill, now overkill used to be a perk. It wasn't a wild card. It actually took away one of your perk slots. So you had overkill and 2 perks instead of 3 perks. And that's why the 2 loadout meta was a thing, right? Because you had to have 2 different perks going, 2 different sets of perks going to get all of your setup.
Right.
So I think that this system that they've come up with for this with the wild card is a good balance because you're gonna, if you want overkill, you can have it, but you have to balance that with guns that maybe, with a primary that maybe is not as good as it could be, right? So you're going to balance performance to having 2 guns.
Then it comes down to skill too, if you really look at it. Like if you're a better player than me and you have only 5 attachments, but I have 8 attachments, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. You're going to kill me anyway, whether you have 5 or 8. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like then it comes down to like you're using your skill. You're sacrificing that wild card and relying on your skill rather than relying on a crutch of 8 fucking attachments. Which, full disclosure, like I said, I have a couple classes that have that. So
yeah, well,
if it's in the game, fuck it, I'm going to use it.
Yeah. And I think having the ability and I think it's balanced again by having the ability to buy guns in the buy station, right? So I can grab an overkill class, have the perks that I want, have a good secondary and a good primary. And I can also turn around and buy, then I can buy the gun, the primary that I want, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I think they've created a scenario in which there's a good balance here. I don't dislike it. And people will have to adapt, right? You're going to have to adapt to it. And that's a good thing, right? Being static and having things always be the same is kind of like, I don't want to say that's how games die, but that's how games die, right? Is nothing changes. You don't have to learn anything new. And I've said this before, building loadouts is a skill. There's a skill gap in how to put together a good loadout for you, right? Anybody can copy Isaac or J-God or Joe, right? But that doesn't mean that they're capable of using those weapons to their fullest ability, right? If you pick up a gun that's movement focused and you're not a movement person and your aim isn't that great, that's not going to help you, right? You're better off putting together a build that doesn't have recoil so that your aim is slightly improved.
Oh, so it's funny. So with this patch, they did. Since we're talking about building weapons or building loadouts and stuff like that. So with this patch, if I read this correctly, they basically kind of nerfed the Modern Warfare 3 guns and buffed the Modern Warfare 2 guns to keep them like on a even playing field between the two titles, I guess. Which damn well those guns are not going to be on an even playing field when it's all said and done with the Black Ops 6 guns. That's been the mode of operandi for Warzone since they started integrating these fucking titles in this game. Like that's been what they've done or whatever. And I had somebody tell me that on Twitter that just 2 days ago, it was either 2 days ago or yesterday, when I pointed that out, they're like, no, the Modern Warfare 2 guns are good. You just suck at the game. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, I'm like, that's why none of those guns have been meta and none of the comp players are using those in tournaments because they don't fucking compare. They're trash. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, can we stop doing that as a community, too? Just because somebody points something out and be like, you suck at the game, even though you've probably never looked at their fucking statistics or seen them play. Like, that's the dumbest shit ever. Like, I'm not even fucking fazed by it really that much anymore because I really don't give a fuck to a degree, but it's still stupid. Like, we deserve what we get. we fucking really do. So... yeah, it's interesting. We're in a scenario where I don't think that there's a really big, I gotta sneeze. Sorry. I don't think that we're in a scenario where the meta is going to be dominated by, by any one class. That's not like it was before, right? Like I've picked up a variety of different guns, automatics. So not sniper. I have not worked on snipers yet, so I'm not there yet. But I've picked up a variety of guns that were that were just on the ground and gotten to try them out. And you know what? I don't think the LMGs are going to be it this year. They've got too much motion in them, so we're going to get a break from that. And then ARs are great. They're really good right now. So I used the aims last night, and I did have the gunfighter perk on there or wild card or whatever. Yeah. That thing doesn't fucking move. And while it may not do the same amount of damage bullet for bullet as a couple of these other guns, the fact that it has a good fire rate and you're able to hit shots with it, dude, it's nice. I got a few kills with it last night. Like, it's nice. I used the C9 for the SMG. I could use the Jackal. I have that maxed out too. And maybe I'll create another class with that or something later on. And then sniper-wise, the LR762. I used those 3 weapons. Those are the loadout weapons that I use. I did build an AK class. I just didn't take it out yet. And I'm using that Willis optic, 3x optic too, by the way.
I don't have that unlocked yet. I should probably work on that at some point. But that new SOG SMG is going to be good. I
unlocked it, but I haven't work on it either. I'm going to try to play a lot of multiplayer. And you know what, dude? Here, I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing. And if something ends up being really broken, then I'll shift gears and, you know what I mean, start working on that so that way I'm not at a disadvantage or whatever. But
well, you know how to figure out what the meta is, right?
I do.
J007 shared the time tested secret.
Well, there's that. Yeah, that shit was funny too, by the way. And that's how we used to figure that out. Yeah.
But in case anybody missed it, J007 is you go out and you take your gun and you get into a gunfight, and if you get clapped, then the gun you had is not the meta. And then you figure out what clapped you, and you take that gun out, and you get into another gunfight, and if you win that one, then maybe you've got the meta. If you get clapped again, that's not the meta. And you rinse and repeat until you find one that you win regularly with, and then you found a meta. Or
you could go to Warzone Loadouts app and check out COD Community and see what's in the meta hub there.
Yeah.
You could always do that.
Yeah, I like that app a lot. I use their camo tracker religiously, so I've been working my way through that. He just did a great quality of life update. I think I posted on it yesterday where, in past iterations, Alex hasn't had a thing where it tracks all of the camos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just mastery. So like you would hit gold and or whatever, you hit gold and you mark gold off. This time he's gone through and you can select all the different camos. The problem was you had to sit there and 10 camos for mastery and then 2 more, and then you can mark your gold off. And now he's set it where it's like you just hit gold and it just auto selects everything below it, which is really nice.
Got another gold AR by accident the other night that I noticed.
How'd you do that?
I don't fucking know. I was just playing with the gun, dude. Again, and it's funny because I had that tweet earlier this week, and it's like because I'm seeing on X or fuck, well, I'm never calling it that again. Sorry, Elon. Twitter. I'm seeing on Twitter, and it's like people are camo grinding and stuff, and they find joy from that. People are prestige grinding, they find joy in that, and it's like if you don't do any of those things, that's cool, man. Maybe you find your joy searching for Easter eggs or grinding zombies or whatever. Like, can we just let people have their joy with whatever they're doing in the game? If you can't do it or make the time or whatever to do it, just fucking zip it. Like, let people have their joy, man.
No. They have to find joy in exactly what I find joy in and nothing else, because otherwise they're broken.
Well, fucking Debbie Downers, Jesus Christ. Like, come on, bro. Like, seriously, it's like, yeah, we get it. You're not camo grinding. You don't do any of that stuff. Like, just let people have their fucking joy, man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's one of those things of like, look, if you're camo grinding, especially at some of these challenges, you're really annoying to have on your team. Trust me, I know, because I've been really annoying for people to have on their team because I've got something specific to do. And look, when it comes to playing, it's like I play I am logging in to do what I want to do, right? And some days I'm logging in just to have fun. I want to win games. I'm going to play objective. I'm going to do, I'll be the team player. And other days I log in and I want to complete my objective, right? And the other day I was doing, I forget which gun it was. I think it was the AEK. And I had long shots. Welcome back to long shots. Holy shit. And some of these maps, there's only one place you can go that would have the range to get one. And it was like, I'm going to sit here the whole game because that's why I'm here. I'm here to hit somebody beyond 38 meters. And this is the only place to do it on the map. And if only 4 people come across my frame of view in that time, so be it.
So here, I about kicked my son off our team the other day because he's sitting here bitching about his fucking headshots, and I'm like, dude, fucking camo grind on your own time, man. We're trying to win games here, bro. Like, I'm fucking serious. Like, it's cool if you want to do that. That's cool, but like, we're trying to win games. I'm not going to lose several games in a row so you can fucking sit at a head glitch and get your goddamn long shots and not play the objective. No, I will not do that.
That's why I play by myself when I do this stuff.
If you're gonna do that, play by yourself or whatever, and
RIP the other 5 randos I get stuck with.
Because I want to I want to win, dude. Like I'm last year, not doing it again.
I'll tell you what though, the discipline that this year's grind on centering is definitely going to make some people will become much better players, and other people will get frustrated. I was playing earlier this morning, and I'm trying to test audio settings. We'll talk about audio here in a little bit. But I was testing audio settings, so I was just going into boot camp, so I could quit out whenever I wanted and not fuck my stats over any more than I already have today, this week. And it was remarkable to me how many headshots I was landing. I was winning stand-up gunfights with significantly inferior weaponry, or absolutely not having an advantage, like taking first rounds and then just toe to toe with them. But I'm landing headshots routinely, and it is straight up because I have been dropping headshots, in multiplayer, just focused on headshot. terrific mode to be in, like mental mode to be in. So it's probably the first time the camo grind has actually directly benefited Warzone in the people that are doing it. Because if you're trying to land headshots, you have to be aiming right. You can't be shooting feet.
Yeah, I practice that. Like I told you, when I warm up, I turn on the bots and it's headshots only. And I think my headshot rate's only like 15.5% or whatever, which I don't know if that's good or not. It's not high enough to me, but at the end of the day, I'll keep working to raise that up too.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the audio, because I know we're kind of we're about almost at an hour and 40 minutes roughly, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about how great the audio has been the last couple days.
Yeah. For the record, you're 15.5%.
All right. I told you it was like 15.5 or something like that. Yeah,
you're good enough for like 17th on my list. So not bad. Anyway, the audio. So we have this new audio engine integrated with Warzone, and I have messed with it quite a bit on console and on PC. I think I think they were having problems on the third party side. It's a third party integration. I think they had an issue at launch because it was not working at all in any way, shape, or form when I first booted up. But at night, overnight when I went to play, like last night, it was noticeably better.
Like
on console.
So, all right, explain to me the differences though. Like, what was different from when it wasn't working to, like, what was better at night?
You ever jumped into a pool and had somebody talk to you while your head is underwater? That was Warzone. That was what it sounded like. It was miserable. There was not a footstep to be heard at all in any way, shape, or form. Every sound was muddled. It was really bad. It was some of the worst audio I've ever heard in the game. And that was with the enhanced headphones off. I turned off the headphones and turned back on the Art is War, and it was massively improved. So I played first, so I played in the morning, and then I promised one of our listeners that I'd play with him. So I kind of turned it off, turned it back on, switched the audio around, turned off that enhanced headphone thing, and the audio was significantly better without it on. And so that was good. And then overnight last night I went and I played, and I played on console. So I turned it on for that on console, and it actually sounded pretty good as well. Not as good as Art is War sounded, and definitely not as good as my personal mix sounds, but it was definitely better than not having it. So it was noticeably, and it was working, and it was noticeable. I think there's a couple of things going on. One is it generates its own spatial audio. So if you have surround audio existing, right, it's going to mess with it. So if you have, I have a little bit of further testing to do. I'm going to try and do it today. But if you already have surround audio on, right? So you have Dolby Atmos, for example, or PlayStation Pulse.
What about the Astro stuff? Like
probably the Astro as well. You probably need to turn one or the other off.
How do you do that? Like in the Astro app or what?
Yeah, you'd have to just set it to neutral and then go into the app and turn off the 3D audio features. Or it comes with the 7.1 audio. You have to turn that off. I think the two conflict. You got to pick one or the other. So I think what's happening is what was happening for me, I think, is that you have the system at a system level. So either my PC through the virtual audio or the Dolby Atmos on my console, it's creating its own spatial audio deck to broadcast in. and then this system is creating its own a separate audio deck to broadcast in, and they're not the same. They're not compatible, so it's screwing it up. So I think that's a big problem for folks that have audio that worked before. The mix is different on this one. I'll tell you that much too. The mix is going to be different. And so before, the vast majority of footsteps sat at about 120 hertz was where the vast majority of footsteps were. So you could actually really kill off, 115 hertz and below, and then quiet down 125 hertz to like to almost 200 hertz, and you could bring that down and kill off the low end almost completely. And the game would be the game was very attuned. Like at that point, you were very attuned to the footsteps. There were a few instances where footsteps kind of should have. There were a few instances where footsteps existed elsewhere in other bands, but they weren't common. And then this preserved a lot of the audio while killing off a lot of like the jets and explosions and stuff. So you weren't being blown out. In the new game, I think they've spread footsteps. So I think it's much more dependent on the surface you're walking on where those live. So it's messing with it. The other thing that this audio technology is doing that is kind of weird, and it's messing me. So last night on my console, I had everything turned off. I just had that fancy audio on, and it's prioritizing audio for you, right? Dynamically.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a gunfight, within about 100 meters to 150 meters, like I would hear that pretty well. Like I would hear the gunfight going on, and I remember, and I remember we were sitting in that area. What's it called? Manor. You go over the south of Manor over the mountain, and then there's that little town, right? You got a couple of that building under construction, and then you can go. You're about 150 to 200 meters to the freeway overpass, right? And that drops down into that other area. So we were right there at that building under construction site building, because there's a buy station there, and I hear gunfight fire going off. And my buddy who had set up the same way, he hears it too, and he's like, "There's gunfire. Where's this gunfire?" And I look at the mini map, and sure enough, they're 150 meters away. And it's two teams fighting on the other side of the overpass down below. But we heard it really clearly. And of course, ran over there and wiped both teams. That was great. Good, but great execution on the audio. But other times, I've noticed that if I am in a gunfight or I am doing something and there's something near me, I've seen red dots show up about the same distance away, and I don't hear them at all. And it's really weird because the game is definitely picking and choosing what audio you hear and what you don't. And so it's doing a better job, I think, I think it's doing a good job of prioritizing what's important and what's not at that moment. Which is good and bad at the same time, right? It's good because in the case of like that gunfight, they prioritized that gunfight audio over, my footsteps, right? I wasn't hearing myself walking around as much, I was hearing that gunfight. But it is disjointed and kind of just, it's throwing me because sometimes sounds kind of come and go when you have that audio on. Versus when you don't. When you turn it off, it doesn't prioritize sound, and then you can choose what bands you're going to listen to if you have the right mixing. So the audio's in a weird spot.
I need to dig into it because, like, for me, just my own footsteps were loud as fuck, but the enemy I couldn't hear. Like, You could barely hear him. I mean, most of the time. Now, there were some times where I felt like I could hear pretty good, and it's like, I heard you coming, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like that was probably the weirdest thing. And I mean, I really hope that we're able to get that kind of squared away, because there's nothing worse than trying to play a BR or even, I mean, a first person shooter, like Black Ops 6, where the audio is trash. But that's what's crazy about it. So I played multi yesterday first for a few games, had no issues with the audio. It was only in Warzone. And maybe it's because there's a lot more, like we've talked about, where like there's a lot more ambient sounds in Warzone, and just a lot more going on than in your traditional 6v6 shooter. I don't know, man.
There's a lot of sounds.
It just needs to be fixed.
Yeah, and so actually, it's interesting, and this is another area that I need to mess with. We actually have a 10 band. We have a 10 band EQ now. Did you know that? By channel.
We talked about it. I don't know. Maybe
it's
I need
there.
to.
It's in there. If you
I need to go into all, like, the audio and visual settings again today. I mean, the game actually looked great yesterday. It was
it looks
bright.
good, yeah.
It looked decent to me yesterday. It was mainly the biggest issues were the audio and the fluidity, of things. So
if you go to so for anybody listening at home, if you want to mess with your audio bands a little bit, and this is an accessibility issue, so W. But if you go to audio, your settings, go to audio, scroll down to the bottom of your global settings, and you get to configure frequency intensity. And you can actually do this left and right. So you really ought to do it on both. This is basically for people that have hearing issues on one side or the other. Like if you have tinnitus on one side, one ear, you can adjust the frequencies to improve that experience. But you can adjust frequencies from 250 hertz, 500 hertz, 1, 2, 4, 6, 10, 8, and 10K. And you can adjust those up or down.
Can I admit something to you, sir?
You have no idea what that means?
I don't know how to make any of that fucking work. Like, I don't know, like, what the numbers actually represent, whether it's high or low, or like I don't. And I mean, I'm not a complete moron.
So quick rundown on what hertz are. Like, hertz is frequency, right? So like every, think about notes on a piano, right?
Yeah.
Every key on the piano is a different frequency. The lower the note, the lower it goes.
So like you go E,
the lower the number is, right? So 250 hertz is the low end that they'll let you modify. It goes, if you have a good 10 band, it'll let you modify like 20 hertz, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's 20 hertz all the way up. So, but in this case, it starts at 250. So 250 hertz, then 500 hertz, then 1,000 hertz, then 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, all the way up. So the higher, the bigger the number, the higher up it is. So this will be good, probably. And again, something I got to mess with and try and figure out where these things live. But you want to mess with. Well, yeah, when I get to it, I'll figure it out. But
now. Do it now, damn it!
I gotta figure it out first. Otherwise, I'm just guessing, right?
You're my guy. I need Obi-Wan. You know,
but I guarantee one of these frequencies has, and I'm probably going to not mess with it because I'm going to mess with it at the system level. On my downloaded one, but on console you can do this if you're not messing anyway. Whole nother video topic, but yes, we can mess with it, and I think we can get. I think one of these frequencies will tune down boxes, so that the boxes will not overblow your audio when you're in a building.
Yeah, because that shit can be loud, dude.
It's hella loud. So if we can deprioritize that, that'd be great. W, looking for that.
I wish they'd just let it be simple and be like, okay, these are the things in order. You click 1, 2, 3. Like, I want to hear footsteps louder than this. You know what I mean? Like, just make it fucking simple. Like, I want to hear footsteps over boxes. I want to hear, voice or doors open over boxes, like those things. Like, just make it simple, but they never will.
Well, the problem, it's not that simple though, and this is why. So this is why, you know, and I did a video on this earlier, talking about the audio system. This is why the audio is as complicated as it is. You can't simply say I want to tune down boxes or I want to tune up footsteps, because everybody's audio equipment is different, right? You know, you and I, we have IEMs, and I think we have basically the same ones. But somebody who has a bass booster Astro 40 headset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simply plugging them, you know, switching the plugs will change the sound dramatically. You ever want to here do it? You can do an experiment. You ever want to do a fun experiment? Take your IEMs and get a Y splitter for your audio and plug your A40s in, and then have A40 on one over one ear, and then use the IEM on the other. So like kind of offset it, and listen to how different the game sounds, where the only thing that's different is your is what you're listening to it on.
Bro, you just told me my system is entirely too fucking complicated. Why would I add another piece to it? No. You do that, then you do a video on it. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but it doesn't do any good because nobody else can hear the difference, right? Because they're going to listen on their PC speakers, on their laptop speakers, or their phone.
It won't translate over, anyways, will it?
Right? It'll, you know. So, but that's the thing, right? If you want to know what two different, you know, what headphone is, you know, if it's better or worse, it's got to be like you're at the optometrist, right? Where they've got the thing with all the little lenses. Which is better, one or two, right?
Can you benchmark that? So you know how like you can do the benchmark in the settings? Like, is there a benchmark for the audio too, or is that part of it?
Well, if you watched my video, I would have introduced you to a site called Squiglink, in which audio nerds benchmark just about every headset out there, and then a terrific gentleman named Geeky Pastimes on YouTube. Check him out. 100% support that. He went through and he created a benchmark for Warzone 3. And then you could adapt, you know, and then you could plug in your specific headphones or IEMs.
I remember that video because we saw the graphs.
And then it would give you a 10 bar or more if you wanted it. If you could do it, but it would give you an EQ and the settings at each frequency on how to adjust your EQ to balance out your headphones. So that way you could because you know different headphones you know deliver sound differently, right?
Sure.
And you know gaming headphones by and large overemphasize the lower notes dramatically. You end up, you know, that's why for most people, when they just have their gaming headphones and they hear an explosion or a streak or something, if they get their ear, it blows out every other sound, is because their headphones are designed to overemphasize bass.
A lot of people are going to the studio headphones like the Sennheisers and stuff like that, like
much
just
more
reloaded.
Balanced.
That's what he has, you know, but and he's also he might even have that Rodecaster too that we were talking about. And I'm telling you, dude, Cyber Monday, I'm gonna be looking, bro.
Do it.
I'm gonna be looking to upgrade my system.
I'll give you a list by the end of today. So I know Cyber Monday isn't coming up, but I'll give you a list by the end of today of like, hey, here's like probably 4 or 5 different things to target that will successfully let you run 2 PCs without all the nightmares and problems you're running into.
Well, and I am going to look at the Go XLR too, just because I have several people that I know that are running that, and it'll be helpful for like when it's fucked up.
Nope.
Why you say that?
The Go XLR is a single USB. So if you have one PC, Go XLR is fine. The 2 problems with it is, as I mentioned, for a 2 PC setup, that means you're pulling analog channel frequencies, like analogs, out of one PC and running them to your Go XLR as auxiliary ins. creates
I
two
need to have
problems.
an in and an out. Then is what you're telling me. I got to have an in and an out.
You
port.
need a dual USB input.
Okay. All right. I tell you what. Fuck me. I will wait on your list. That'll be the best thing to do.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely support you on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think audio in the game has potential. I think we need to understand what it's doing more, and that's going to just take some time to understand it, to figure it out. I know Artist War has been working on it. He tweeted about that yesterday. So we'll have his insights on it. There's a few other people I'm looking at, waiting to see what they say about it. I think if you have nothing else, if you are just a console player and you do not have any virtualization, right? You don't have the Dolby, you don't have Pulse, you don't have whatever. I think it's probably going to be a significant advantage. I think a lot of people I've heard a lot of people, and I haven't messed with it. It's a 30-day trial, so I'm going to eventually, probably this weekend, invest in the time and effort to see if the paid version of the audio is better.
Isn't that the most Call of Duty thing ever, dude? I mean, honestly, like, the fact that we're having to pay for good audio in a game is fucking wild to me. And that's why there are people like Artist War out there that are doing what they do, and people like you, because the audio has been trashed for the most part in these games for like the last several years. And so people like y'all do what you're doing, and then Activision turns around and sells trying to sell an third-party audio package. Like, I'm drawing my line there, dude.
I'm drawing my line on Activision's had 3 years now to figure out audio on their own, and they are 0 for 3. In fact, I would put them in the negative.
But don't try to sell, like, that's just some nickel and dime shit, right? Like, that's...
Well, someone's got to...
It's greedy as fuck.
Well, hey, I'll put it this way. They gave us their own virtualization. This is the first time Call of Duty has ever handed us virtualized surround. They've never given us that before. You want access to virtual surround on console, you have to pay Dolby. You have to go outside the app and you have to pay Dolby for it. You don't get it otherwise. You get stereo, you get left right.
See,
if you don't pay Dolby on console. I
haven't been on PC on console since Caldera.
You spent $150 to get it for yours. Well, you didn't, but somebody did and sent it to you.
Yeah. Well,
so
my point is,
if you didn't have your mix amp, if you didn't have the mix amp, you wouldn't have, you would have to go through the Artist War process to get audio. Probably. Otherwise, you'd be in the same boat as everybody else because PCs don't naturally have it. It's not part of Windows.
It's weird though because like my good friend Hoops, he has the same setup I have as far as like the mix amp and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking has audio issues all the time. Like stuff resetting, like those kind of things.
Yeah, because you're using 3.5. You're using the aux ports, the 3.5 millimeter ports, and Windows is constantly reconfiguring those, and they're all virtual drivers.
I need to mention that to him. We talked about that yesterday, actually, if I remember correctly.
And
you're right.
because you're not using USB.
I need to see how he's using his. I'll have to ask him about it today when he comes in chat. But
I'll do another video on it, just kind of talking about the different aspects of audio, of like the audio hardware.
Make sure you share those from the fucking podcast page,
so we can advertise our podcast so people can hear us. Yes.
Well, I mean, dude, that's a big part of what we do is like you doing nerd shit. I mean,
doing nerd shit. Yeah, you're right.
but you're good at it.
But back to your point, like, it's all better audio has been from Call of Duty's point, pay to access for years. The problem is people don't, people just haven't, right? And so that's why Artist War's audio was so game changing, and that he was really the first one to introduce a way to access, the virtual, the surround sound audio without buying a surround sound system, right? So like, I've said this before, when Warzone first dropped, I had a 7.1 surround sound in my living room that was dialed in, right? Because I like to watch movies. And so when I wanted to sit on my couch and watch Top Gun, at window rattling volumes, I wanted to hear a jet start in front of me and go all the way around and come back the other side. And like, I wanted that whole experience. And so I put a lot of time and money and effort into it, and it was really good. And I didn't need a gaming headset to play Warzone and have great audio because I invested thousands of dollars in gear, equipment, and setup time.
Couple things about that. I have just a TV, right? Like, I don't even have a sound bar. And, my wife goes to bed before I do a lot of times because I'll hop off the game, right? I'm in here. I'll hop off the game and just kind of vibe and watch a show or whatever. And I have that shit barely turned up. She's like, turn it down, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't even have any of that. But then the other point I was going to make about this is like, sentiment matters, okay? So if you look at everything as a Call of Duty player we deal with predatory algorithmic matchmaking, we deal with cheating, we deal with updates a lot of times that don't work, and now we're having to deal with audio that we may or may not have to pay for extra things. Like, it's like, and people wonder why a portion, which I'm not bitter, I'm honestly not bitter about this game, but like, why a portion of the player base is fucking bitter,
Sure.
Like, it's just
you're
one thing
being...
after another, dude.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just saying that, at least this time they've brought it into the game. You don't have to leave the game and go deal with another app in order to get this sort of stuff, right? And I'm not saying whether it's perfect. I'm not saying whether it's perfect or not. But I'll tell you this from the company that's creating this stuff. I forget what it's called. And they do this for multiple games. Call of Duty is not their only title. I'm not surprised that they've got their whole virtual setup. I'll probably just record myself doing it so that we could see, so we can see the experience and kind of try and understand which is better, whether it's improved or not. But yeah, how do I put this? It's really not different, in my opinion, than someone who's dropping $350 on a pair of Sennheisers, right? To have a better sound experience. So you drop $20 once to have customized audio for you versus the standard audio they give you, which they've never given us before in the game. We've had to go outside of it. Whether I'm buying a $600 receiver that has Dolby built into it, or whether I buy, the app, the $15 app on the Xbox, right? I'm paying for the same license. It's the same software license. I have to buy it one way or the other.
Cool, but don't make the bass sound in the game so fucking bad that you literally have to do this. It's terrible optics and it's scummy to do. It would be the equivalent of the water supply company here dumping trash and shit in the water and being like, well, here's your fucking water, but for an extra $20, we'll get you this purified water that's really good. Like, you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just scummy to do, in my opinion. If that's the case. Now, it could just be broken and they didn't do it on purpose. And if they didn't, then you know what? I owe them an apology, whatever. It's just the optics of how this looks right now just don't sit right with me right now.
And I will say this. Look, it is better. It was better last night than it was yesterday morning. It was better on the console than it was on the PC. And part of that is probably due to how much shit that I have going on my PC. When I turned everything off on the PC, like when I turned the system off, the audio sounds better. When I turned the system on and I turned off Art is War, it does sound better. But I think part of it is just, if you're someone who's messed with audio, or you happen to have a surround system set up on your PC, some people do, it messes with it, I think. I think it's two different systems that aren't compatible, conflicting with each other. To be honest, I think that's where a lot of the problems come in. So it's going to be one of those scenarios where I've got to I got to work through some more of this stuff. And I'm curious to see what Art is War has to say about it. I'm curious to see what some of these other people have to say about it, because As much as like I like to say, hey, it's a problem. The problem could be, user error, right? Like, we're so used to having things work one way, we're trying to do too much. So I'm leaving that on the table. I'm not going to say definitively it's one way or the other. And until I get to the bottom of it, I'm not going to harp at the audio system itself too much. I will say that Area 99 is fucking broken and the audio doesn't work there at all, no matter what you do, because it's a piece of shit map. As is every other time they've dropped a new map lately, the audio doesn't seem to work. So there's that as
What
well.
is it that the drop shot always loses their shit about in the patch notes? The audio occlusion or whatever. I can't wait to hear
Tanner
their
ranted
episode.
today. He put out a video this morning and he was ranting about how the audio is every time there's a map update or a new map drops or something, the audio is broken and then they fix it. When they do, they always fix it. So first impressions, okay, everybody, let's remind ourselves. This is first impressions. And they haven't been stellar. Some people don't have issues, some people do. I had issues with it. I don't like the map in general, I don't think. And I don't think playtime is going to change that too much. Unless the player base changes how they act, which ain't going to happen. But audio-wise, like I said, I played Urzikstan. I was playing this morning. Did a lot more fiddling, and it's getting better.
Good.
A weird echo.
That makes me feel better.
There's a weird echo in the footsteps. There's like a reverb coming back, and I don't know where that's coming from. I can't find a setting. I can't find where it is in-game. It could be an in-game setting, but I had it on both systems, so I don't think it's my audio.
No, it's probably their audio, dude. I mean, if you're going from console to PC and having the same issues with a completely different setup, that's more than likely, a software issue on their end of it, right? Like,
yeah. But it could be something on my system that's still turned on that I didn't turn off properly. So I have more work to do before I stamp my official seal of bullshit or it's good. And
that's
suggestions on what everyone should do.
Idea. It's good or it's bullshit.
Yeah, well, we know the answer is everything paid is bullshit.
Anyway, good, man.
But so yeah, it's a launch. It happened. It has good and bad to it. I've been mostly negative on it because so much went wrong for me personally on day one. I was really not happy about it. And so that, and for me, I tend to be a little more emotional when things don't go right, and they tend to compound and make me just really, really angry at everything.
It was a great conversation as I'm sitting in bumper to bumper fucking traffic trying to get home, hearing you rage about this shit, dude. But
I think I was playing when I was talking to you. I was trying to work through some of this shit.
Probably, yeah.
And so it was, but overall, as far as integrations go, we've had worse. We've had way worse. Shoot, the launch of Warzone and the launch of Warzone 2 were worse. We had major crashing issues. We remember on day one of Warzone when that first came out.
It's true.
Major crashing issues.
Well, we'll see the stability post. They always have one. Like, if they
I haven't
already.
experienced major stabilities, like, once or twice, sure.
My teammates have been DC'd a few matches, and I had one match where my ping was like fucking 150 or something like that. But
not supposed to do that. You're supposed to balance that, right?
Well, hey, so listen, I know we're winding down, but I think we should talk about this. So they came out and talked about how Ricochet is now going to be more or less regulating a ping threshold to go after VPN abusers. So what that means is the way I interpret it is, and I believe Tactical Brit said more or less the same thing is it's not so much like regular people who are using a VPN. It's those people that like are VPNing out of like Asia into the UK and into the EU servers that are a large swath of those are actually cheaters.
Well, yeah,
that are doing that. So, they have a lot of issues with that. And so I think that's good if that's the true reason why they're doing it. I think that's good because those servers are dog shit. I've spent several hours watching people play on those, and I don't know how they fucking do it.
Well, and I think too, it's a lot of it, the VPNing, into specifically to break matchmaking. There are. So one of the things that they do, we'll close on this is like, when you get into like Sweat VPN or No Lag VPN is like they are they're basically lagging the server to the point that it will just connect, that it will break the matchmaking cycle and just connect you to the next available server. But when it connects you, it's letting it connect actually to a local or a more local server.
The closest one to you?
Yeah.
More or less?
So the VPNs companies, the software companies are smart enough to like allow that so that you can play at a reasonable ping. But it's like it lags through matchmaking to get you there. And they've talked about, so there's different ways that VPNs are creating problems. I haven't seen enough people run into problems with it to know how effective it is or it's not at this point.
Well, maybe you test it. I know you've got some friends that consistently use a VPN, and I mean, I have one as well. I mean, SBMM off is fucking a lifetime deal. That I could run, and I how I feel about the matchmaking. So we don't have to go into that. I'll just say that if they're doing that with the VPNs to address the issues over on the UK and EU servers, then I'm 1000% for that. If they're doing it to stop people from breaking their own predatory fucking algorithm, then I say fucking rally to the people. Let's find another way around this bullshit.
Well, it's one of those things of like, I think we're going to see, I think it'll shake itself out over the next couple of weeks. And of course, VPN sellers will find ways we'll test it out. So we'll know in a week or two probably how effective it is, if it is effective at all.
Well, there is even the Discord too. I could probably check into. I might have left that Discord actually, but there's Discord for the VPN companies. So
I was in a couple of Discords, as I've said before. I got thrown out of them when the crackdown happened last time. So we'll see.
It's because you're a troublemaker, bro.
I'm not a troublemaker. I'm a fly on the wall. I just want to observe, sit quietly, and then blast screenshots on Twitter and get people riled up.
Well, enjoy your fence building today.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be an electrifying experience.
Are you putting it on top of like an existing fence, or are you just putting like the rebar down? And
I have stakes. I'm going to drive in. The fence at the top of my property is just old as shit.
And fencing ain't cheap, dude.
No. And it's like, it's one of those things of like, there's like multiple people involved and nobody wants to pay or lift a finger for it, but they want me to do all the work and money on it. And I'm like, I want to tell them to go fuck off. But I can't tell them to go fuck off because the problem is my animals will break through as much as anybody else's. So it's kind of like, I tell them to fuck off, and then they say, well, this is your problem because it's your animals. And it's a whole thing.
Yeah, if your animals
so
do
I'm just going to trap my animals in, and then I'm going to let them, let the problem become their problem and deal with it then. So anyway, so that's what I've got going on after this. So that'll be fun. But yeah, it's going to be a week. As much as I have been ranting about Area 99, I'm sure I will try it again a few more times just to really approach it with a calmer mind and having my settings not fucked up. See if that makes a difference. But otherwise, yeah, we'll see how this all goes. Rebirth comes back next week, as does Ranked for multiplayer. Warzone Ranked early December.
That'll be legit. Legit.
But yeah, on that one, I think we're going to spin us out. Appreciate everybody coming through. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.